He made a name for himself as an outsider, famously clashed with fellow conservatives and called them all the Washington cartel. But it looks like Senator Ted Cruz is getting along with colleagues now. So what changed? That was one of our questions to the senator in his fourth floor office on Capitol Hill. Senator, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jason. Welcome to Washington.
Thank you very much. You proposed a constitutional amendment for term limits. Senator Cornyn told me and other Republicans that let the ballot box decide. Why limit voters' choices? Are you going to have enough support?
I certainly hope so. I can tell you the American people overwhelmingly want term limits. I mean, about roughly 80% of Americans support it. And what's amazing is the support cuts across party lines. It's Republicans, it's Democrats, it's independents. I think people recognize Washington is broken. And it's I mean, that's a big part of what this election was about in November, was a rejection of business as usual in Washington. And what happens here, Jason, look, good people get elected. They come in with good intentions. And this town corrupts them.
Would you run for a third term?
I'm focused right now on getting reelected in 2018. I've been here 4 years. I'm running for reelection, and I'm focused on making the case to the people of Texas that I should continue to be fighting for you in the Senate.
Let's talk about the last 4 years. You have prided yourself in the Senate the first 4 years of your term as being an outsider. Critical of even Republicans, and on the campaign trail I heard you multiple times talk about the Washington cartel. The question is, we don't really hear that anymore, and it seems like you're cooperating with some of your Republican colleagues. Why the strategy change?
Well, I mean, I'll note we were just talking about Washington being corrupt and needing term limits. I mean, that problem is still there. And my
we don't hear you say it as much.
Well, my focus is and remains fighting for 27 million Texans. That's my job. That's what I wake up every day thinking about, focusing on. My priorities are jobs and economic growth. My number one priority is jobs and economic growth because that's what Texans want. And my priorities are freedom, protecting our constitutional rights, our Bill of Rights, and security, keeping this country safe. And I will say, we're at a different stage right now. So the week after the election, I brought my whole staff together and sat down with them and said, listen, the last 4 years, we have had a radical, extreme president who has been trying to force an incredibly damaging agenda on the American people. And he's had contempt for Congress and contempt really for the American people and our values. And so our role has been to be the loyal opposition, to stand up and lead the efforts to stop those damaging policies from going into effect. And I think we've been very effective as the loyal opposition. And what I told my team is that all changed on Election Day. Republicans have now been given an incredible opportunity, really an historic opportunity. We've been given control of the White House, of every executive branch, and of both houses of Congress. Now we got to deliver. Now we have to follow through on the promises we made. And so right after the election, I flew to New York, went to Trump Tower, sat down with President Trump, and said, listen, I want to lead the fight to accomplish what we promised. And since then, my office, we have been working closely, talking with the President and his team every day. And I'm excited. I'm excited. We have the opportunity for this to be the most productive Congress in decades and to actually deliver on the promises we've been making year after year. That's an opportunity. I hope we don't screw up. I hope we deliver on our promise.
The Republican primary, as you know, is super bitter. Have you forgiven him for that?
Oh, listen, it was a vigorous race. He competed hard. I competed hard.
There were a lot of words said, though.
There were, and he won. The people decided. He's the president now. And I'm energized by the opportunity to actually produce what we've been talking about for so long. And this year is poised to have a number of big victories.
I know you're focused on 2018, but do you have aspirations higher than the Senate still?
Listen, I am thrilled to be in the Senate, to be representing Texas. I mean, it's a special thing. It's an amazing thing to walk into the Capitol every day and to have on my shoulders fighting for 27 million Texans. It's the greatest state in the union.
Do those aspirations still live in your heart, though, to run for something else?
What my aspirations are is to fight for the values we believe in. And right now, the Senate's the battlefield. I'm very happy in the Senate. You're right, I'm not looking to move to any other job because I think Senate is going to be the battlefield for tax reform, for repealing Obamacare, for confirming Supreme Court justices, for protecting our constitutional rights, for rebuilding our military. You know, you look at just this past week, the Air Force announced that the F-35 is coming to the Joint Reserve Base. That was something where I was very active with the Air Force Secretary trying to make the case that that needs to be here in Fort Worth. That was important. And so I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be in the arena, you know, as the scriptures say, for a time such as this. These stakes are high, and I'm thrilled to have a chance to try to make a difference with the people of Texas.
Senator, final question here, too. There is talk of some Republicans considering challenging you in the primary. Why do you think there's talk of that? Why do people think you're vulnerable?
Well, listen, it's politics, and there's an old line that there are two ways to run: scared and unopposed. And so the only way I've ever approached an election is to run scared. To run scared, to run hard. And we are campaigning hard across the state. We have tremendous support across the state. I feel like we're in a very good position. But I'm going to work hard to try to earn the votes, of men and women across this state, to continue fighting for this state, to continue fighting for the values. What I promised Texans 4 years ago is, if you send me here, I'm going to fight every day for Texas. I'm going to fight every day for our freedoms, for jobs and opportunity. And I'm going to fight every day to defend the Constitution. And I think I've kept my word. I think I've honored that commitment. But that's going to be a judgment for Texans to make. And I'm going to work hard to make the case and earn their support to come back and continue the fight for Texas.
We'll see you on the trail, Senator. Thank you very much.